welcome to Kilchoman. We're up here at the distillery for the Fèis Ìle open day. There's loads going on. I can already hear the pipe band outside. There's bacon butties going around. It is raining, but it's not the end of the world, and we're going to have a great day ahead of us, and we're about to chat to the distillery's founder, Anthony Wills. Anthony, thank you so much for taking some time out of a super busy festival day to come and chat to us for a little bit. We've crowdsourced some questions off of our followers on Twitter and Instagram, and yeah, we've got some for you. First up, Michael on Twitter wants to know, have you got any plans for a European Kilchoman tour in 2019 or 2020?
I think there'll be one in 2020. We're doing one in Australia and New Zealand this year, and then we're coming back to Europe, which is always a popular region to visit, and we get great crowds turning up at our various events that we do. So I think in 2020, but there'll be more information about that later this year.
So we've actually got the same question from two people now. Arda on Twitter and Not Enough Scotch on Instagram wants to know if you've got any plans to release some older age statement liquid now you've got more maturing stocks.
I think we've already started to do that in a very small way with small batch vatings and single casks. The jury's out on whether we're going to suddenly release a 10 or a 12-year-old. I think the debate is always going to be out there about age statements. We're trying to give more information about what we put in the vatting, because obviously we have to be careful what we say. SWA are very quick to tell us that we've again broken the rules. So I think as far as we're concerned, age statements are not a priority, but we'll be looking at that going forward. It pigeonholes you a little bit if you suddenly release a 10-year-old alongside everybody else. So we try to be slightly different. Yes, we haven't done non-age for a very good reason, that you wouldn't put 4 or 5-year-old on necessarily. Though, I see Lagavulin have done an 8-year-old, and so it's becoming more acceptable at a young age, younger than 10. So we'll see. But I think at the moment we like the flexibility of not having age statements.
And our next question comes from Santi Soda on Instagram. They want to know what water source you use here at Kilchoman.
We use the source off the hill. It comes down, the source is Alt Glen Osmal Burn, and there's a big catchment up on the hill behind us. We actually share it with Bruichladdich. It's one big sponge up there, and we get a section of that. We dam the burn, and all our water comes from that burn.
Brilliant. And finally, from Dr. Feelgood83 on Instagram, a great question. He wants to know, why does Kilchoman taste so good?
Well, it's very nice of him to say that, to start with. I think starting a distillery gives you, it's a blank piece of paper. You can build and design a distillery to achieve a certain style of single malt, and I think we set out to try and achieve a single malt that we could release at a young age. It's very expensive to start a distillery, so if you have to wait to 10 or 12 or 14 or 15 years for your single malt to mature and be ready to bottle, you need an awful lot of money. So I think I had the expertise of Jim Swan back in the days when I set up, and he was superb in steering me in the right direction to achieve the character of spirit that we now produce on a daily basis, and then maturing it in good quality wood. It sounds very straightforward, but it's not. We've been very fortunate that our whisky has been well received at a young age. I think that's a lot to do with consumers being much more educated and so much information now available on social media, that when we released our first single malt at 3 years of age, it was well received. Now, if we'd done that 20 years ago, it would have been dead in the water. But we've been lucky, and I think we're very, very pleased. I mean, when we first ran the stills in 2005, Jim Swan just turned to me and said, well, we look after this and put it in the right wood. We'll be able to release this at 3 years of age. So that was a huge fillip for us. And yes, of course, it gets better with age. Our festival release at 11 years of age, you would say, it's more rounded, more mature, more complex than anything that we released at 3 years of age. But at 3 years of age, our whisky does have a character and a vibrancy and a sweetness about it that surprises people. And I think most people think it's going to knock their heads off and be all spirit and no character. But yeah, I mean, I think most new distilleries now are producing good spirit, and it's going into better quality wood. So they are younger expressions that are very, very good now. And that's great for the consumer because they've got a huge choice.
Anthony, thank you so much for spending some time with us today, answering some Q&As from our followers on Twitter and Instagram. It's great to have you, and I know you're super busy with the festival. First up,